We are now moving towards the panel number 5, Scaling Brands Globally, the Sustainability Imperative. This session focuses on how Indian brands and sourcing ecosystems can win globally by building credibility at product and supply chain level, with proof, traceability, and sustainability performance becoming a competitive advantage. The conversation will cover what global buyers expect, what brands must deliver, and how India can scale globally with trust. Before I call our moderator and panelist, we have a video to play.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. We are from Brands and Sourcing Leader Association representatives. Essentially, our distinguished panel and a lot of our colleagues here, they come from the brands, buying community, and sourcing offices. I would like to invite our distinguished panel here, founding member Mr. Sanjay Shukla, Mac, Radul. I am intentionally keeping the introductions away because would like them to talk about it. Mr. Deepak Bhatt, Jatin. So, as I said, we like to call ourselves accelerators, catalysts, instead of moderators. Sanjay, since we have the privilege of your company here, we are co-founding member of BSL. Why don't you tell them a little bit about the story behind BSL and what we are doing towards the sustainability? These guys have a seat. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here, and I would like to thank Rahul Bhai and CMAI for inviting the BSL panel. As Tapan mentioned, we represent the buying community, whether in India or abroad. And BSL, similar to GATS, what the last session, is about a 2.5-year-old organization. So we arrived at the scene a little late, but I must say that, again, similar to GATS, we're also a little bit in the T20 mode of cricket rather than the test match brand of cricket. Our industry, as he mentioned, needs accelerators, not moderators, because we are at a situation where we have a lot to catch up with the rest of the world. And our industry, especially the export industry, clearly struggling, in various quarters. And it needs the help, the energy, and the wisdom of all stakeholders. So now coming to the topic, at hand, which is sustainability, sustainable practices, and how can brands, whether they are brands who work in India or Indian brands who want to venture out, how is sustainability an imperative? So even at Brands and Sourcing Leaders Association, we have something what is called the Panch Pehal. And the Panch Pehal is our founding principles, which essentially carves out the broader agenda of promoting exports and reducing imports in the country. We are clearly missing our chairman of BSL, Mr. Raman Datta, today. He could not come here personally. But, we would like to have the audience today understand the concept behind Brands and Sourcing Leaders, because we are in fact, one of a kind of an association, because there are several very good associations like CMAI for manufacturers, AEPC for exporters, Texprosil for mills, etc., etc. But nobody has really put the 360-degree plan together by bringing the cog in the wheel of the people who actually bring business to the manufacturers. So that's what we represent in short. Now I'll give it back to our accelerator for today, Tapan, to take this.
So, we were thinking that how to bring out the importance of sustainability for brands which want to scale globally or existing globally. Quick introduction before I start, and I would request everyone to do that when we come to you. So I've been heading Mothercare Sourcing South Asia for last 10 years. And in addition, I also have a privilege to be co-founder in 2 of the companies in India. GlobeGrid is one of them, Phantom Brands. Obviously, being in international global sourcing landscape, one of the things that I think is the changing landscape. So what's happening around us? From 1965 to 2010, 2015, we almost doubled our global population from 4.2, 4.4 billion to 7.4 billion. But very interesting fact is that in last 10 to 12 years, the overall population is degrowing. So we only added probably another billion or less from 2012-15 to now, 2025. So we are 8.4 today as world. And it's visible to the extent that, our parents and their parents were like 6, 7, 8 brothers, sisters. Me, 2 or 3 brothers, sisters. My kids, I am still worried whether they'll get married or not. Not about the kids. So reality is the growth which happened in the past was needed because the social, economical things moving around us needed that. But what has happened is a changing landscape that we are dealing with and the future which is coming our way. So we are dealing with a much more concise customer base, an aware customer base, informed customer base. So while there are the law and the other ozone layer impacts, which I would like to stay away for a minute, but there is a landscape which is changing, which you'll have to acknowledge and get ready for it. And I would probably request views around this changing landscape. Jatin, maybe you can introduce yourself as well and talk about it.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jatin Kashyap, heading a company called SourceNet Global and working for a couple of brands in Europe and America. and doing a lot of sustainable practices and fast fashion all together for those brands. So you're pretty right, Tapan, you rightly said that, if I really look at today's consumer, the consumer, obviously there is a shift. They have become more aware in terms of they wanted to have more belongingness to the product, from where it comes from, where it has been made, what sort of, the end life of the product. But on the other hand, they are also, still very confused. They want that fast fashion because of this, the digital evolution. They still want, they don't have that patience to wait for, the next collection to be, coming in next 3 months. They want every minute, every hour, a screen has to be, flash with some new styles, new colors, or a new design. So, obviously, they, care very deeply about, the sustainability, ethics, transparency. And the only thing is they are also very confused in a sense, the contradictory, I would say, the consumer who's looking for, they are not just, uh, conscious, I would say, yet confused customer. So the challenges for the brand as of now is not something only keeping the sustainability. That is always, been there, and it has been your prerequisite. Uh, More important is, how you build your brand around, the sustainable stories, the values, the ethics, and how you market it to the consumer. That is also very, very important nowadays, because they wanted to, be with the brand. They wanted to live that life. So that has been, a great shift so far with the digital evolution the current consumer is.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, while I would stay with the topic that I agree when one of our speakers said that the consumers are still not that aware, but at the same time, while we did our video, we also try to calculate, gather the data around the protest which is happening in different countries around the detox or getting more sustainable. So, what we are trying to say is that when we talk about manufacturing, it's about the next 15, 20 years, right? It's not about today. And what we are trying to say is that with the internet revolution to Insta revolution to the viral reels and to the implementation of those AI videos on impacts of various things, they are getting aware much faster than probably what we are ready for. So while there is a legal / regulatory mechanism which has awakened due to what has happened already, the damage which has happened already, but mind you, these consumers are going to pose more and more challenge to us as a brand, that we are feeling the heat already about going for various these things. So what we thought was that there are 4 key buckets under which brands have taken various pledges. So I would like to revolve the conversation from brand perspective, and importance is that these will be the key things that the brands in India also will have to make a note, because the international brand leaders are already taking steps towards it. So if you want to scale globally, you will not only have to take note of these steps and probably get faster than that. Yeah. So the one bucket that I'm talking about is carbon neutrality and emission reductions. So some of the data, and pardon me for reading it out because it's the data from the brands. So for example, Patagonia is committed for net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. Adidas and Mridul, we have from Adidas as well. He is now into his startup, but most of his life in Adidas. So aims at 70% reduction in scope 1 and scope 2 emissions by 2030, guys, and net zero by 2050. So essentially, most of the brands have signed up for net zero by 2050. So if I talk about carbon neutrality and emission reductions, from the panel we have Mac from our Tirupur cluster, also founder and owner of the brand in India and domestically, and also Deepak ji, you. So we'll come one by one. Mac, why don't you just introduce yourself and talk about the topic on what's happening that you guys see as a brand towards the carbon neutrality and emissions.
Hello. First of all, thank you that you can't pronounce my name, and so it's easy, Mac. That's why I'm Mac. My name is Mary Selvan. Today I represent VSL as Vice President South, and I'm also the EC Executive Member of Tirupur Export Association and Vice Chairman of Sustainability Subcommittee. My chairman is right there, Anand. And I also am a sourcing consultant, and I have my own startup, new Indian D2C brand for men's premium innerwears. So coming to the point of carbon emissions, I would proudly say that I come from the Tirupur cluster, where I think 15 years before, when we don't know what is sustainability, I think as a responsible cluster, we in Tirupur have started and revolutionized ZLD, which is until today, I think, is the only cluster with zero liquid discharge. I think 13 crores of litter is utilized and recycled and reused every day. Every day. Besides that, I think for the energy part, we are producing 2,000 megawatts of energy, which is, we are utilizing only 400 megawatts in Tirupur cluster and giving back to the state grid, the balance, which is from solar and wind energy. And then we are also another revolution in Tirupur, I think only in India, we have 25 lakh trees grown since 10 years before. And I think it has brought a complete weather change in Tirupur, which is already recorded. I think many international birds are coming down to the location around Tirupur, where we have all the time 24/7, almost 12 months a year, lakes which are live, and water birds, lot of birds coming to the sanctuary there, which is an industrial town, and we have a bird sanctuary coming in there, which is itself a wonder. So that way, Tirupur cluster, and you can say the entire Tirupur factories, including MSMEs, where we are utilizing all the processing, everything which is coming from the same state. So we can say we are completely sustainable. Only thing is that now we are on the process of collecting the data, making it validated, and to be sustainable in terms of data and document. That is what we are in the process of doing it from Tirupur Export Association. I think carbon neutral we are contributing a lot from Tirupur, and that way I think promoting our brands to world will be much more easier down the road.
Yeah. So very interestingly, I mean, all of us that way, but we have been part of brand sourcing for last 20-25 years, whether it is Columbia Sportswear or Mothercare. I always believe that it's both sides, the partnership. I mean, the retailers and brands are the face of manufacturing basis anyways. So whether people call that we mandate, it's a mutual mandate. We are facing that heat in the market, and if we have to survive, we send that joint message. And one of the things that we keep talking in our forums is, we haven't really marketed our initiatives as well in the past, and probably we need to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, Tirupur, when they say that 2300 megawatt renewable energy against the domestic consumption of 630, which means each and every garment can go with a hang tag saying this garment is made with 100% renewable energy. Now, these are small things, but they matter to the consumer nowadays. It didn't matter in the past, and I'm again sticking to the context on changing landscape. So sometimes we need to measure, and we need to sell the concept correctly. It's not about that we have started doing it now. Obviously, the awareness is going up, and Deepak ji, I would come to you now, that around this topic, what are your views? And again, you have your own brand which is doing so well. So please.
Hello, good evening. Myself is Deepak. I lead XYXX Apparels, which was an earlier startup, now a successful startup. And we are one of the leading men's innerwear manufacturers. in India, D2C and even now on the retail level. See, yes, on the, means I can say you that as a garment industry, we should commit that we are the 10% of the most polluted industry, one of the. But the winners will the brands that make sustainably affordable, scalable, and transparent. That would be the key to the all brands, because currently sustainable is not at the cheaper level. It's expensive currently due to different scenarios. It has to be first transferable, then transparentable, then affordable, then sustainable. Because transparency is much needed, which authenticize that it is a great move about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, important points needed from regulatory level as well, and proactive futuristic approach. I'll come to the second bucket. So we spoke about the carbon neutrality slash emission, reductions. We are staying with the brand perspective in these conversations and trying to understand how to build a story for scaling the brands globally. So the next thing which is important is the circular fashion, right? And material innovation. Now, if I just give a couple of data which is happening around it. So Zara, which is the Inditex group, they plan 40% of the fiber to come from conventional recycling and 25% from sustainable farming by 2030, which is like another 4 years from now. What is it that we're talking about? That roughly around 60 to 70% product as a commitment from such a large group will come from either recycled fibers or fibers like organic cotton or sustainable fibers like bamboo, etc. Which points as obviously a demand coming in from such large suppliers. And guys, I remember when Nike decided to go organic 20 years back, I was part of their Blue Diamond team on product innovation. We said, why can't you go for 50% organic or 100% organic? What stops you? So one of the chief product officers said that, Tapan, we are buying such a huge volume that we are worried that even 5% we can service or not. That's a big commitment from our side. So this is 20 years back. So what I'm trying to tell you is that brands have their own set of problems which sometimes we don't get the perspective of. So a lot of times they're worried if they claim in the product that this is like this, then they also need to deliver it. They can't say, oh, sorry, you know what, I sold, but it's not up to mark. So it's a very responsible job when you go to the retail and claim a particular point. So we need to collaborate. As I said, it's manufacturing and retailers and brands partnership when the product comes to the shelf. So sticking to the story on product, so we have two very experienced panelists, Mridul from who has a strong background in sportswear again, Adidas. What do you say? How do you see the circularity and recycle coming into the product play?
Thanks, Tapan. I am Mridul Das. I run a sportswear consultancy firm called Sportskin. Recently started, looking at the potentials of sportswear for India going forward. I have a background of working with Adidas for 15 years in the category segment, running so all the products that you were buying for the last 15 years. Most of them were either bought through us and sold through us. So that was what our job was in Adidas. Adidas itself have been in the sustainability domain from 2012. To 2024, Adidas giving you a perspective of brands so that you'll understand where brands stand right now and how India can adopt those practices locally. So into 2024, Adidas was supposed to deliver of making 9 out of 10 garments in sustainable way or recycled fabrics. since most of the sportswear, say 60-70% are made of polyester, it becomes more paramount for them to deliver on this topic. So 23 itself, this practice or this benchmark was achieved, but now 9 out of 10 garments are all recycled garments made out of ocean plastic or plastic bottles or PET bottles and those stuff. It's also happening in the footwear, which was earlier a little difficult, but even 7 to 8 footwear are now made out of recycled products. So these are delivering on the brand's commitment to obviously the authorities and to the stakeholder, which is the consumers. At the end, we are all stakeholders of the planet. So how do brands register their services, keeping in mind of the ecosystem, right? So that's how the brands have been playing their work in terms of delivering on their commitments to sustainability. Similarly, this is not only from the company that I was, obviously all the sportswear sector brands, especially because most of them are using synthetics, it becomes difficult for them, and hence the requirement for them to participate as individual committers and also to be responsible brands. This thing started long back, and by now I think they are doing pretty well from the sustainability point of view, and they're not only saying it, but they're practicing it.
I mean, I agree. Interestingly, before I come to Jatin, so in the morning also a lot of people spoke about the historically Indians in the families, how they used to wear their sisters, brothers' apparel and happily, and the kids' apparel getting passed on. And as the landscape changing, initially what happened was it didn't look nice enough to offer a used garment to somebody else. So suddenly the criteria of that status thing kept changing as we were evolving. And now you see the newer generation, where brands play the role. We have a huge successful campaign from Lululemon, Like New. So you can Google it later. So they have a nice hoardings floating around North America, which says that, if you will not wear it out means wear it out, somebody else will, Like New. So they are opening stores which has the Like New Lululemon apparel, which people can very proudly go and buy. And I can give you example, one of my son was in UK and he said, I'm going to buy a jacket from a thrift store. I said, what is thrift store? Because I wasn't aware there's something called thrift store. That's where, students sell or other people sell their used or like new apparel or equipment or sports gear, which are authentic, right? But they buy it. So the trend is changing. What I'm trying to say is that it's not only the need of the laws and governments, the consumer behavior is asking for circular for different reasons. Not everybody probably is looking at ozone layer, but important is it's happening around us. So Jatin, circular and,
Just a
recycle. Yeah.
I want to interfere in this. See, carbon neutrality is not a cost. It is becoming a competitive advantage. So the brands you are talking, it's, as an Indian market I'm talking about, it's still, I say, for India, that brands are on a higher price points. And Indian markets looks at a mid-range points where the sustainability and carbon things should not come on the garment cost. That should be most taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Deepak ji. I would refrain from bringing the cost perspective in this forum for the moment. But it's always observed that we evolve, we adjust to what's happening in the market. So there was a time people were buying certain things. There is a time when people are buying certain things. And I believe we are dealing with a much more prudent and informed consumers, right? So landscape is changing, right? So I'm sure everything will settle down when it comes to cost and MRP.
Yes.
From product point of view, Jatin, I would still want your...
See, I'll tell you, like, if, you're talking about the thrift stores and more, the conscious consumer. Right now, the sustainability, whatever we are talking, the buzzword all the time, organic cotton or sustainable fibers or the recycled fiber. It is something, one is that, regulations, Europe regulation is there, US is asking for, those recycled. But at the end of the day, what is the purpose of it? The only thing is the driving force behind is the consumer. The consumer has become so informative from those many, the social media exposure or the internet exposure. The demand or the, the consciousness has been so deeply involved that brand has been forced to do that. One is that, the perspective of, the climate. We have that, we are all sitting criminals here, doing all those, in these many years, those crimes. But other hand, the challenge is consumer is not buying anything which is, not related to, giving back to the earth, Mother Earth, end of the day. So there it comes that the transparency has become the new passport to entering into any of the market or any of the, brand which has to, come to the being more, I would say relatable for a consumer. It has become a mandate.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. I would say that irrespective of the perspectives that we have been hearing on the enforcements and laws and certification, we intentionally kept the brand's perspective and challenges in this particular panel. So traceability has gone to the extent that I'm sure the QR code on the product would require consumer to know where it was made. I think something is happening in that direction, but we need to get prepared. We cannot just keep it under the carpet, not that it was intent. So let's get ready for it, because this new age customer is wanting more and more accountability and demanding to know details around it. We can keep debating on what percentage, but let's get ready for the 100% consumer wanting that. Instead of, again, that is coming to us as a force. So I would highly recommend that whatever we are setting up new, whatever we are upgrading, we need to get aware about it and set it for the long term instead of today's orders. Traceability and transparency.
And the truth is, fast fashion is not going to be, away. If you think that, with the circularity or with the sustainability practice, because of, the new age consumer, we always have to be ready how to be a fast, transparent, agile supply chain, yet sustainable. So that has to be, if we are actually, are really looking for a brand to build on, we have to think on that, the circularity at a peak, but also how we can make it faster, how we can make it on a smaller run, and how we make it, more regular interval and the faster production. That is very, very important nowadays.
Sure.
Small point, Tapan.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So that, see, all our exercises right now regarding sustainability and making transformation from the MSMEs to the big factories, all this will happen only when, like exactly what you told, like brands start to make campaigns for like Lululemon did, just like that, and then it has to come from the reverse. Exactly what he said also. Consumers who are now from the young generation to the middle age sector, they have to start realizing that we don't want fast fashion, we need to be responsible, and we need lesser clothing, and we need to utilize and use lesser textiles. We are all guilty for that. You are not doing, I'm not doing, but we have to say, if the consumer starts utilizing, all our exercises will reverse and really bring the best results out of that. Do you agree?
I agree, and I like the system of notification. I just got that I got 5 more minutes, and I have 2 more buckets left. So we'll be fast, lady, whoever warned me. Thank you for the warning.
I think nobody has done a Q&A and answers. Let us do.
Yeah,
the public.
I would like to quickly wrap up the 2 points here. I'll come to that, guys. So we said 4 buckets, we have covered 2. I'm going to cover the last 2 quickly. One is traceability. Everyone spoke about it. And Sanjay, if you can quickly tell us what's happening around traceability. People like Karing Group, continuing with my highlight news, Karing Group has committed that 100% traceability by 2027. In fact, I believe they've already achieved it in 2026, but this was their mandate. So yeah, please.
See, before I get to traceability, if you look at, it's a classic case of creating a problem and then having all these things to solve it, So the issue has been created by the brands themselves by buying irresponsibly, by buying inefficiently, by buying articles, SKUs that do not sell, ultimately go to waste, and then you have piles of garbage in the Western world. So when that started happening, they started pushing back, oh my God, what do we do? Okay, now let's go to the suppliers and tell them that be responsible. Start growing organic cotton. How much organic? The nature of organic cotton is that you can't have more than X amount of organic cotton per acre. Cannot have so many crops. So under the bandwagon of organic cotton, everybody started selling organic cotton till the time the regulators realized they are selling more organic cotton than is produced globally. And that's when people like control unions, thing got burst and everybody came to the fore saying, oh my God, is this sustainability? Then they said, no. Now hold on. Go to traceability. Sustainability तो we said, अब आप trace करके दिखाओ उसको कि ये जो cotton है आप कहाँ से लेके आए थे. So again, it comes back to the manufacturers, and this I'm talking about brands who have been working with 20 years, So now you devise methods of tracing, and then you go back down the chain, और जिनर के पास जाके आप खड़े हो जाते हो. Jinner says कि sir, मेरे को नहीं पता कहाँ से आई ये cotton. I can tell you X, Y, Z, but I can't trace it back to the farm. And now they want you to trace it back to the farm also. So you see, we are all working on something that we have created ourselves. Each one of us is responsible for overconsumption, overproduction. The buyers are responsible for irresponsible buying, not buying smart enough. So as you rightly said, the sweet spot is fast fashion, buy responsibly, buy limited, and make sure you sell through 95%.
Thanks. And surely it's the last point in the bucket, just to bring the brand perspective. So there is something called operational sustainability. So we are talking about manufacturing, but brands are being held accountable on store light energy consumption. You see those fantastic stores in Fifth Avenue or Oxford Street, or for that matter, the palladiums of our country. So again, giving the highlights on brand initiatives. So Uniqlo has committed 95% green energy or store emission reduction by 2030. So this is another, aspect on sustainability that comes on the brand side of the business, in addition to manufacturing. And obviously, there is a lot happening around product development and how to reduce, the whole energy footprint around the whole development cycle. And we also have, one of our colleague here, Sunil. In the interest of time, this time I will stand with the clock. If you can just quickly enlighten people in a minute or a half, that's allowed, right? So please.
Hi friends, I'm Sunil Arora. I'm CEO SU.RE Consulting, which works with almost like 1,100 fashion companies globally in 50 countries in the last 41 years. And I'm also a director automation and digitalization with BSL. Yes, I would like to add a few points, mainly on technology, where there is a requirement of sustainability, speed, buying responsibly, and all those kind of scenarios. So technology does give us those possibilities where digital sampling can be done. There are possibilities on digital sampling which can be done absolutely without any kind of a wastage, without any kind of a wastage in terms of not just the material and other things, but also on the effort and the time aspect, the manpower aspect. So all that can be done digitally. The other aspect which can be done is demand forecasting, which is becoming AI-based demand forecasting is doing a great work on how much to produce depending on the genuine demand which is available. And so that we produce in a very, very responsible manner, and we sample in a responsible manner. The other aspect which has been said, and I did have a note on that, that yes, there is a traditional belief that cost versus sustainability is a false binary, but reality at scale, where waste reduction can result in margin improvement, and better demand alignment can work on lower markdowns, and efficient logistics can work on cost savings. And these kind of scenarios allows us to do a lot of work in terms of sustainability, which becomes margin accretive at scale, not dilutive. So these are a few points which I wanted to add. Unfortunately, I could not be there.
What I can suggest is that we guys are around here. If anyone wants to have any conversation after this panel, we are very happy to answer them. Jatin, my request is we are still around. I'm sure we can answer your questions, but probably we'll give way to the next panel in the interest of time. So I'm more than happy we guys are around, guys. If you just want to have an informal conversation, we can do that. Thank you very much for listening to us. I hope we brought some light from brand perspective.
Thank you, everyone. I would now like to call on stage Mr. Rahul Mehta, Chief Mentor from CMAI, to felicitate our speakers. Mr. Tapan Bansal. Mr. Sanjay Shukla. Mr. Deepak Bhatt. Mr. Mezi Selvan. Mr. Mridul Das. Mr. Jatin Kashyap. Can we have a group picture? I would also like to call on stage fellow members of BSL group. Please join us. Yes. Any CMAI team members are around, I would like to invite you on stage. Thank you, everyone.